this period. Santaco hosted various stakeholders at the South Sea taxi rank in Khayelitsha and Cape Town. Santaco PEC member Besutu Ndugane.
Work very closely with law enforcement agencies because we don't have the competency to enforce that. But what we do, those that have that competence, we bring them closer so that hence you will see that in all these stop and checks, there will be traffic visibility that ensures that that part of compliance is dealt with legally.
And finally, Reddit has filed a lawsuit calling for Australia's social media ban for under 16s to be declared invalid. The text-based forum is one of 10 online platforms covered by the ban, which came into force on Wednesday. The BBC's Katie Watson has more.
Reddit says that while it's complying with the law, it believes there are more efficient ways of ensuring the online safety of young people, a goal that it said it shared with the government. The legislation, says Reddit, has serious implications for privacy and political rights. The government insists that it won't be intimidated by those who are seeking to challenge the social media law, arguing that it remains supportive of parents, not the platforms. The ban is being closely watched around the world, while campaigners and the government say it's necessary to protect children from harmful content and algorithms. Critics argue a blanket restriction won't work.
Recapping the top story, the ANC's National General Council has resolved that South African Communist Party members recuse themselves from ANC discussions on strategy and tactics ahead of the local government polls. This is until both parties reach an agreement on the Communist Party's decision to contest the 2026 local government elections independently. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
It's a very good morning to you. Your SFM Sport headlines figured access to the Proteas, East India, at 51 runs in the second T20 International. And in soccer news, Bafana have closed the Embassy for misconduct chapter, and this is before AFCON. We'll have details just before 6:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. We started mid-Rand with quite a heavy backlog this Friday. It's a collision scene between New Road and Allendale, and traffic coming to Joburg into that scene. Approaching Allendale is backing up quite heavily. Also a crash at Peter Maritzburg on your way to Durban between Chotamatala and Orterman Road. So just watch out for some slowing traffic arriving at that scene. Otherwise, it is noticeably a lower volume day. Of course, it is a Friday, and we are now officially underway with school holidays. So that'll also take some traffic out. You can see that in Cape Town. Highway volumes nowhere near what you would expect for this time, even on a Friday. No major incidents. Routes towards city centre moving nicely. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's just gone 8 minutes after 6. Today is Friday, the 12th of the 12th month of 2025. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief on SAFM 104 to 107. It is your daily first appointment with the news and current affairs. As we always do, we have lined up the sharpest analysis, the biggest conversations, and the most important stories shaping governance, business, politics, sport, geopolitics, arts and culture, and everything in between. We are your first essential briefing of the day, and we set out to cut through the noise, centering the facts and helping you navigate the country, the continent, and the world with clarity. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get started and get you fully briefed. Among some of what we will tell you as part of that briefing, the ANC's National General Council wrapped up in Boksburg and Gauteng with a decision that could reshape alliance politics, tripartite alliance politics, heading into 2026 local government elections, as well as 2027, the ANC's elective conference. The party, the ANC that is, says the South African Communist Party, members of the South African Communist Party serving on structures, dual structures between the ANC and the SACP must, quote unquote, recuse themselves from strategic processes as tensions have simmered over the communists' plan to contest elections independent of the ANC. The president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, insisting that this part of the party's this is part of the party that the ANC's unstoppable renewal drive. Though analysts say renewal still struggles under the weight of corruption scandals and factional battles. So right at the end, the decision coming through and saying the ANC president saying the ANC's renewal is unstoppable, and soon the ANC itself will be unstoppable. But no place, it would seem, at least in strategic conversations such as discussing election strategy and the like, no place for those members of the ANC who also happen to be members of the SACP serve on both structures. And there are many of them across government at provincial level. The name Popira Matuba came to the fore quite a number of times in conversations yesterday. Gwede Mantashe in that situation, Butima Namela, and so on and so on. What do they do? Which one will they choose? What are the implications? I'll speak to Samgele Masego at the top of the hour, just after 7 a.m., followed by some analysis with Nkosi Khulule Nyembezi, a political analyst, to reflect on the moment and what it means for tripartite alliance politics, as well as what the ANC says is its unstoppable renewal. I won't lie, this story is informed by my own experience. In fact, let me tell you the other story before I get to the story, informed by my own experience. The shock and concern in the basic education sector after Minister Siviwe Kwahube confirmed that learners at 7 Pretoria schools accessed matric exam papers before they were written. The subjects involved include English, mathematics, and physical sciences. And that's the very core, you will understand, of the National Senior Certificate programs. While the marking system, we're told, remains one of the most tightly controlled in the country, the breach has raised difficult questions about security and fairness of the entire examination of 2025. We'll speak to NAPTOSA, that's the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa, and we'll speak to Tirona Moodley at about 6:45 this morning, reflecting the perspective of the educators on that story. So let me come back to the story informed by, it's self-serving, right? It's self-serving, it's informed by my own personal experience, and why not? I'm hoping that it resonates with you. So I have this phone that I've had for about 2 years on contract, and I was looking forward to when the contract ends. I'm not renewing this thing. I'm just going to buy airtime and life will continue. It's a perfectly good phone. It works. I'm okay with it. But planned obsolescence. I had not bargained on planned obsolescence. I know it's a big word so early in the morning. What is it? So if your phone or laptop seems to slow down or start falling apart just after its second or third birthday, you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. Across the world, users have long suspected manufacturers of designing products with built-in expiry dates that you and I are not told about, okay? This morning, we'll be unpacking whether this phenomenon known as planned obsolescence is a real strategy or just a convenient conspiracy theory on our part, to explain what's happening. Because now I have to get an upgrade, something I had not planned on doing because my phone is starting to fall apart. From battery degradation to software updates to repairability, just the ability to repair it if it breaks. We'll be exploring what's natural wear and tear and what is engineered, what is planned obsolescence. We'll speak to Arthur Goldstock, who is a tech expert and founder of Worldwide Works and Gadget magazine. The formidable Morning Brief team is at full strength once again, all locked and loaded with your essential updates throughout the morning. And Musa with news updates every half hour. Rob Byrne with your traffic updates every 15 minutes or so. Zaikan with your sports updates in every hour of the show. Melissa Puta with the Morning Brief in brief, and that's coming up shortly. Dauling Lechela in every hour, always right on the money with business, economics, and the markets. And Sipho Mantula at about 20 to 7 this morning with the Africa Update. Your calls 086 000 2032. Your WhatsApp voice notes 0614 104 107. Let's get into it. The first hour of the Friday edition of the Morning Brief starts now.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, the first milestone. Melissa Puta with the Morning Brief in brief. Good morning to you, Melissa. Let's talk about these developments in basic education. Tell me what decision has been taken around this matric exam leak scandal.
Good morning to that evening. So two officials from the Department of Education have been sick leave discovered even school. Minister reviewing also said Marcus said usual similarity between the script and the marking guidelines to limit that in by pupils who admitted prior to mathematics and physical science cases via a USB device. The breach of schools criminal charges has been a investigation process the University University and investigate most matter finding evil January of 2026. For 2025, that investigation into exam irregularity will not delay the release of the convicted people.
And this is a topic that resonated quite significantly starting from yesterday among our listeners. Hugo Bros, the Bafana Bafana coach, and his comments about Mbegezeli Mbogazi, TLB, and his agent.
Yes, so that's another thing coach should be to me making controversial remarks. Bigger the anti-agent Russia and Michael during a press conference. The United States on the BBM our has force and human rights to take democratic candidate Russia road for side to the national trade players. Comment could harm cohesion coming Bruce Bafana team executive qualification and work.
Yeah, there's no doubt those comments will continue to be analyzed and scrutinized and debated at length, really. And who knows what implications they will have for the Bafana Bafana coach going forward. Let's talk about what the Western Cape Division of the High Court has had to say about this ongoing feud between Kata and Codeta, those problematic alphabets in the taxi industry.
So the Western Cape High Court has made permanent that stopping violence between rival taxi groups and over between Mfuleni and West. The IF here so it was muted. The order emerges close and how it was previously when it by a root better to one select text by saying not tolerate. So this is quite an interesting considering how right taxi violence has become in the
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that, Melissa Puta, with the morning brief. In brief, just a roundup of some of the stories that we don't necessarily have time to get to this morning, but we consider them to be quite important for you to be aware of.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
So, on the weather front, there are quite a number of warnings. So, I propose that I will basically give you those warnings and then we'll go through the temperatures across the country. The first one is an orange level 5 warning. It is for severe thunderstorms leading to flooding of roads, low lying areas, bridges, as well as damage to settlements or structures over populated areas, urban and rural areas. And that is to be expected over the interior of the Northern Cape, western parts of the Free State, and the Northwest. Yellow level 2 warning. It is for severe thunderstorms resulting in localized flooding of susceptible roads, settlements, and low lying bridges and areas, and that is to be expected over the eastern and northern parts of the Northern Cape, central and western parts of the Free State, and western parts of the Northwest, as well as the central and eastern parts of the Eastern Cape. Then there's a yellow level 1 warning. It is for severe thunderstorms resulting in damaging winds, excessive lightning, and hail, as well as downpours with localized flooding of susceptible roads, and that is to be expected in the extreme south of KwaZulu-Natal. Then lastly, it's a yellow level 2 warning for damaging waves, leading to difficulty in navigation at sea and localized disruption to beachfront activities, and that is to be expected between Saldanha Bay and Cape Agulhas from Friday evening, spreading to Plettenberg Bay on Saturday. The rest of your weather: Pretoria, Johannesburg, Vereeniging will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, with Pretoria being at 16 to 27, Johannesburg 15 to 25, Vereeniging 15 to 26. Mbombela and Polokwane will be cloudy with morning fog patches, otherwise partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers. In Mbombela, the minimum will be 17 to 30. In Polokwane, the minimum 15 to 28. Mahikeng, partly cloudy and windy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 17 to 29. Bloemfontein will be partly cloudy and windy with widespread showers and thunder showers, 18 to 25. Kimberley, partly cloudy and windy with widespread showers and thunder showers, 17 to 23. Same conditions in Uppington with a minimum of 20 and a maximum of 22. Cape Town will be cloudy with scattered showers and rain from the afternoon, 18 to 21. George, partly cloudy, becoming cloudy in the evening with isolated showers and rain, 17 to 26. Gqeberha, partly cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 15 to 24. East London will be partly cloudy with widespread showers and thunder showers, 18 to 25. Durban, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 21 to 32. Richards Bay, partly cloudy, 21 to 34. And lastly, Pietermaritzburg will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 17 to 34.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
Let's turn to this now. Bulgaria has woken up to a fresh wave of political uncertainty as Prime Minister Rosen Zhelyazkov stepped down under intense public pressure. His resignation comes just ahead of a no confidence vote and after 2 weeks of rolling protests accusing his government of corruption and poor economic planning. The timing is extraordinary. This all unfolding mere weeks before Bulgaria is due to enter the Eurozone. Now, the country's president must lead fraught negotiations to try to piece together a new government. Let's speak to Dr. Kingsley Makubela, risk analyst, former diplomat, and public relations executive. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. So, the government resigns amid this protest, but it also comes just a mere couple of weeks, really, before Bulgaria is due to join the Eurozone. What are the implications for the country's stability and thus that progress towards joining the Eurozone?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Actually, the Prime Minister Zeliakov government. It's a center-right minority government elected last year, October. But it's quite interesting that Bulgaria, since 2021, has had eight parliamentary elections. That's where the government is elected. So this year, the government decided they are going to raise contributions for social security, and they're going to raise taxes. And there's been a problem of corruption in Bulgaria since 2021. That's why governments keep on falling. And it created a serious problem. That's why the president, who then came out to say he would rather side with the public than with the mafias, referring to government. And there was also a crisis sometimes this year in June when the Constitutional Court ruled that 16 of the 240 parliamentarians elected last October were elected illegally. So it caused serious challenges. And Bulgaria just joined the Schengen zone early this year. But it has serious implications in terms of the common monetary union joining the Eurozone, given the political instability that exists. But the underlying problem of the Bulgarian issue, Thulasizwe, it's the whole conflict and tension that they are having with Russia. Bulgaria keeps on buying its oil and energy resources from Russia, and Russia is the biggest trading partner of Bulgaria, but they've tried to diversify that, and that's why the economy is a huge challenge. It's not only Bulgaria, even within the Eurozone, given the energy prices that have skyrocketed, it's causing serious political instability. So we don't know how the Eurozone will evaluate the political instability of Bulgaria and look at the accession to the common monetary zone within the Euro.
And it becomes a real issue, doesn't it, Doc, as they join the EU, that focus on governance, issues of dealing with corruption and having structures that are meant to root out corruption. There are certain expectations that come with being part of the Eurozone family.
It's going to be a huge problem. But if you look at Bulgaria, Thulasizwe, it's a really big economy. I mean, their GDP is about 112 billion. They have fairly small population in terms of the buying power. So those are issues that are going to weigh very heavily. And given the fact that there hasn't been any political stability in terms of government, the current president, Radev, is seen to be closely aligned with the Russian. And given the tension that exists between the Europeans and Russians, so those are issues that are likely to play themselves out in terms of the accession. There will be very stiff conditions for them to join. I don't think they would qualify this time around. They will put conditions around precisely dealing with the question of corruption and dealing with the question of governance and the stability of government. It's going to be an issue. They are not the only government that could not form, it's not the only country that could not form a coalition. You will recall at one stage, Italy went through successive coalitions which were not stable and creating a huge problem. So I don't think that would be the biggest stick that the Eurozone would use, but the problem of the question of corruption and so on is going to weigh heavily on the Bulgarians.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time as always, Dr. Kingsley Makubela, risk analyst, former diplomat, and public relations executive, always delivered with that signature clarity, right? Signature clarity of Dr. Makubela.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Sorry, good morning. Let's start with cricket. Quinton de Kock rolling back the years with a blistering 90 of just 46 balls, where South Africa beat India by 51 runs in the second T20 international in Chandigarh. Approaches close to 213 for four before Otniel Botman had a superb bowling fight back, claiming four wickets of 24 balls as India were dismissed for 162. Soccer News from Bafana Assistant Chief Salman Mkalele says the matter involving defender Mbekazeli Mbekazi now been resolved and harmony has been restored in the camp ahead of AFCON. Now, you remember the Orlando Pirates centre back came under scrutiny after reportedly arriving late at the high performance centre, something which visibly frustrated coach Hugo Bruges.
you know, I would say that issue is resolved because it is important for us to make sure that we resolve issues like that in order to make sure again that we continue with our population. So the issue of Mugazi has been settled.
All right, let's go elsewhere. Plenty of soccer action last night, and it was Nottingham Forest boosting their hopes of a top eight finish in the Europa League. They had a 2-1 away win at Utrecht, and Rangers on the brink of Europa League elimination. That Ferencvaros came from behind to win 2-1 in Budapest. And finally, golf Australia's Jack Thompson leads the Asian Tour's Saudi Open at the halfway stage after back-to-back rounds of 7 under 65. Swing back, top of the hour for more sport on the morning brief. I'm Zaitan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the SACP says it has noted the decision by the ANC's National General Council to exclude it from strategic election meetings. It has, however, said the parties need to iron out the legalities of the decision. The NGC resolved SACP members must recuse themselves from the ANC's discussions of strategy and tactics of the 2026 local elections. The George municipality in the Western Cape has reassured residents that several measures are in place to safeguard the town's water supply. George, along with several other garden route towns, are now water-stressed areas due to low rainfall. And the South African Police Services says it's working with all stakeholders to help curb the deadly surge in illegal mining in Bapong in the northwest. The illegal activities have caused a dangerous situation where holes around homes in the community are flooded as a result of the digging. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. Quite a big crash scene between Emelefele and Joburg along the N12 corridor. It's happened. It's a truck that's overturned just before Ochi. So if you're coming out of Emelefele through the S-Bends and then down towards that Ochi's exit, quite a big backlog to get through. That truck is overturned right across the N12 westbound. Crash delays through Midrand this morning on the M1 South. There's a collision scene just before you get to Allendale, sort of just after New Road before you get to Allendale, and that's already pushing a heavy queue back through towards Olifantsfontein. Earlier crash on the N3 at Pietermaritzburg by Chotamatala down to Ordman Road. That scene has been cleared and all lanes have been reopened there. And Cape Town, just a bit of an unusual queue around the Delft area this morning. Symphony Way coming up from Khayelitsha, all heavy towards a busy junction at Stellenbosch Arterial. And the N7 from Vangate Mall queuing jet up towards Jakkalsvlei in front of Langa. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Let's go to Ndauling Lechela for the first update of the morning. I'm looking at the good morning to you, Ndauling. I'm looking at the figures you're citing around this Disney Open AI investment, and I'm thinking to myself, when our children and their children ask us, "What did you guys do when AI and everything related to it was quite the buzz, and there was money to be put in and money to be gotten out?" What
We
will be
missed out.
what will be our answer?
There's still time, Phil. Still
Eish,
time.
yeah. So Disney is betting on Open AI.
Yeah. So when I saw the story yesterday, I asked myself why a company like Disney would pour money into Open AI. Was not the same era as I read. Entertainment giant, investing Open AI and added another deal that will let users create videos featuring Disney characters on OpenAI's Sora app. Now, Sora was launched in September and allows users to generate short videos by typing a prompt. And from next year, users will be able to work with more than 200 Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars characters. Disney CEO Bob Iger says the partnership will help the company expand its storytelling in a responsible way as AI becomes more important in media. The agreement also gives Disney the option to buy more OpenAI shares and makes the studio a major OpenAI customer. Disney will deploy ChatGPT internally and work with OpenAI to build new tools. Move comes as Disney battles copyright violations across the tech sector.
Analysts say its investment signals a shift instead of fighting AI from the sidelines. He wants a hand in shaping how it's used.
Over in the United States, the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act is under the spotlight. Finally, some movement. There seemed to be a period where nothing was really happening in Congress. Now, movement on that front.
Movement in the right direction. It's strive to renew the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act forward this week. The key U.S. House Committee approved a 3-year extension of the bill. The bill passed easily with strong support from both political parties and keeps duty-free access in place for many African exporters. The lawmakers said a long delay would open the door for China and Russia to expand their influence in the region. And a big but here remains South Africa's position is uncertain. The current bill doesn't mention removing the country, even though U.S. trade officials have recently called this a unique problem because of tariff barriers and rising political tension. The U.S. has already slapped us with a 30% tariff on major exports, and some senators pushed for SA to be cut from AGOA completely. There has been some reprieve, though, in sectors like citrus, um, citrus recently. For now, though, the House was moved to South Africa will break, but analysts warn separate Senate proposals will strengthen its case program, which could be hard.
Lastly, Dowling, what's moving the markets this morning?
Starting in the US, stock closed in the night as traders continue to fit move. NASDAQ was the only index red after disappointing results. Oracle pushed investors of. Then coming back home, they continued to edge higher, closing in yesterday and back of improved sentiment as well as upbeat economic data from countries that had numbers out mining sector, manufacturing sector, and overall employment. All points came positively, also in the close to 1% higher. Moving over to the currency, the rand continues to power ahead, trading near 3-year highs at 16.7 to dollar. Over in commodities, oil also stronger, more than half a percent, $61 and 40 cents a barrel. And then over in Asia, markets are recovering and trading positive territory.
All right, Dowling, thank you for that. We'll touch base with you and catch up with the latest just after 7:30 here on the Morning Brief.
Africa Update on SAFM.
Well, standing by with the Africa update is Sipho Mantula. Advocate Raz, good morning. Let's start in Cote d'Ivoire. The government in that country wants the United States involved one way or another. It's all got to do with what they're calling the Al Qaeda linked jihadists. What are they talking about? What's that development?
Refreshing morning, Tulas and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. Tulas, you will recall that the U.S. lost ground in the Sahel during the era of Niger, and Mali. During the Biden administration, the first administration of Trump, they had some influence in the Sahel. Now they lost that grown base of 100 million Tulas in Niger. Now they're trying to work through Ivory Coast that these people about that happened. Once there, what they call the U.S. the countries north to carry out what they call the cross-border operations targeting the Al Qaeda allied jihadists who have been who have been making havoc in the Sahel region. So these are the issues that the U.S. will tell you in terms of security language pillars. And when I look at the global terrorism index, only last 3,885. They will need to it and need J. So these things have lost ground. 23 pillars until now. So they want to use the Ivory Coast. Don't you get? You don't think by pillars. Sorry, with grounded. The grounded too.
Mm. Let's talk about staying in that region. Talk to me about the ECOWAS and what they are planning to do around cutting the cost of travel within the region. This is regional integration, and even by your rather critical at times approach to ECOWAS, or what you sometimes call ECO is. Surely this is a good move, yeah?
Absolutely, Tulas. You will recall that there was a summit in Abuja this month. We've been looking at those issues. And I think your first line of regional integration is they want to constrain tourism, trade, and free movement of goods. In it of how you lower the fares, increase passenger traffic, stronger regional airlines, and deeper regional integration. I think it was Tulas to say that by 20%, passengers, security, or officials will benefit out of this in terms of travel across for us. I think this is next much great eco regional integration alliance ahead need to us the best.
And sometimes when we talk about the DRC conflict, Sipo, we always talk about fears of a wider regional war or regional instability. That regional instability and impact of that war, we are seeing it now with Burundi being inundated with a flow of refugees and people just seeking, I don't know, shelter from
Yeah,
the fighting in the DRC.
absolutely, Tulas. That also makes a mockery of Washington concept, the peace service. That and Tulas, if 50,000 people who have moved from Burundi. And why are they moving? Like they're moving that border between Burundi and DRC of Bira. Bira is cut by everyone. And that's side of Chitemera, Umba, those are the sites one that was putting a constraint and Bira changed to Burundi that how to deal with it. But it's a this guy we have Indians who have the Congo and their called create others are ordinary refugees that face severe conditions, no toilets, no water, no others die along the way to that because of the shelling and for this. So it was the remedy the or was it food for the in the
Yeah, and what makes it worse is that the M23 has been pointing a wagging finger at Burundi itself in the last few weeks. So there's another complexity that comes into the picture. Take me to Ethiopia and tell me about what the plan is around the election.
Tulas, the National Board of Elections, Melato Wangailu, yesterday said that they are organizing the elections, general elections 2026 June, already on what we call public education advocacy. These elections that are very important, considering the India we are the to be right. That's where you find that you need to have we need a pocket of in Oromia and Amara regions that we are meeting to be a to see plus so how would looking at all the action now that they've been going on of
And staying in the land of Haile Selassie, your historical archive, one of them, has to do with something that happened in that country, 12 December 1913, but you also link that to 12 December 1963 in Kenya.
absolutely full. Today it was the 9th of economic development. This is the plus against what we call enslavement of Africans who accept who also was a part of the Battle of Atama. And was what I would call the great emperor of fear to make a very character there in Kenya, the land of Jomo Kenyatta today. And then like, the high road today the for Kenya was from former colonizer. We say Jomo Kenyatta became prime minister called and Moi, Odinga. There are many leaders in Kenya who have moved around, but the first one being Atta well as Odinga vice to Asante. That's what
Yeah.
the
Sipo, thank you for that. Have yourself a great weekend. Sipo Mantula with your Africa update for this morning.
Attention all service providers. The Eastern Cape Provincial Treasury warns of fraudulent emails circulating, falsely claiming to be from our Supply Chain Management Director. These emails are not legitimate and are created by fraudsters to steal information. Do not click on links, do not open attachments, and always verify any requests directly with Treasury officials. Report suspicious emails immediately to 060 573 4917 or email to customercare@ectreasury.gov.za. Your prompt action can prevent fraud. This is an official notice from the Eastern Cape Provincial Treasury.
The brightest colors of summer will be witnessed during the one-day international series between Mzansi's women Proteas and Ireland. Experience the first ODI contest on Saturday, 13 December at 9:30 a.m. live on SABC2. South Africa's Reconciliation Day will be celebrated pitchside during the second ODI clash on Tuesday, 16 December at 9:30 a.m. live on SABC3. The Proteas and the Irish will wrap up the action with the third ODI match on Friday, 19 December at 1:30 p.m. on SABC3. You can also enjoy all ODI matches live on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
13 minutes to 7. There's shock and concern in the basic education sector after Minister Siviwe Kwagube confirmed that learners at 7 Pretoria schools accessed matric exam papers and memoranda before writing had actually happened. The subjects involved include English, mathematics, and physical sciences, which, you and I know to be the very core of the National Senior Certificate. While the marking system remains one of the most tightly controlled in the country, the breach has raised difficult questions about security and fairness. Let's speak to one of the players in the education sector, NAPTOSA, that is the National Professional Teacher Organization of South Africa, and we speak to Tirona Moodley, Provincial CEO of NAPTOSA in KZN. Good morning to you and thank you for your time. What are the implications of this leak?
Well, as says, a doctor had accepted this mark. Also, very concerned with our vision for of our market, able to time so experience that we done.
But what about this? What does it reveal about the system? You can tighten as much as possible, but for as long as there's a human element, are you always going to be prone to that human element compromising the overall integrity of the system?
Well, there's risk when human and those as right example, education will have actually to ensure no interest be one cost rent is good. And all and we put the of the limit investment report and when all the funding how the recommendation considered from the past.
What do you consider to be the broader implications for the rest of the system and the matric exams 2025, 7 Pretoria schools. In the bigger context, will it weigh on the overall fairness of the exam in your view?
As a already fact that that hard winners really in the now part of people, in the defined. So we look to look at the what this has been. The national conference it is primarily just wider. I think it's going viral a risk. So they it they but should not support for race concerns now. I think something that we must talk about right now and come up
Sure.
with how I should been.
But just lastly, from this incident and perhaps other concerns that have happened in the past around the administration of the exams, where could we further tighten, further introduce technology to just further strengthen the integrity of the exam?
To be honest, come along with and really we're going to about what we about. So take as it arises, you can never foresee how or technology may let us down. So one step at a time, and as I closer, confidence in the system. We sit with Umalusi as well with this organization that is the overall governing body or the quality assurance body. And we are satisfied that every possible step is taken. Used to say somebody made enough friends in every unit, not on top of the world, and we have our eyes and ears to the ground. We have our masters of students, we have our masters. It's always going to be a work in progress.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time and your insights. That's Terona Moodley, Provincial CEO of NAPTOSA in KwaZulu-Natal.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, any expectations of an easy Friday through Midrand were put pay to earlier this morning with 2 crash scenes between New Road and Allendale. One of them big enough to block 2 lanes, the other just a single lane. But it means a queue that starts right back at around Samrand, and it is a heavy queue this morning. The M1 coming through Midrand, give yourself a ton of time, or think about side roads or alternative route options. N1 from the south is heavy again today. It's a problem route this recently, coming up from the Potch Highway up through Eldos, Devlin, through Deepcliff Interchange. Big delays for connections down to Uncle Charlie's. R24 from the Edenvale heading down into the N12 merge for a trip to Galuli's, looking slow as well. Durban issues on the Southern Freeway today. Here's an unusual backlog from Umbilo. M4 inbound to the city centre is all clogged up. Cape Town not too bad. Bit of traffic on the N7 from Vangate Mall moving up to the N2 and on towards the Langa area. N1 is probably the busiest highway with some queues coming down from N1 City towards Sable Road. And a reminder, if you're driving from Mpumalanga in towards Joburg, in towards Gauteng, there's a big truck crash just before the Ochis exit. If you leave Emerald on that N12, you go through the S-Bends and then you're into that traffic queue down towards that Ochis crash scene. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
You are listening to the Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
You know, there are those municipalities that make me say, next, guys. I guess I really don't know. Merafong. Merafong residents are furious this morning as their taps continue to run dry, even while the municipality racks up nearly 30 million rand in irregular spending within 3 months. A new Public Accounts Committee report shows staggering amounts paid to 27 companies, many of them sharing suspicious consulting links. All this while the municipality owes Rand Water 1.4 billion rand, crippling its ability to supply residents with water. Let's speak to former Scopa chairperson Themba Godi, who says the pattern points to possible collusion and deliberate malfeasance. Good morning to you, Mr. Godi, and thank you for your time. What leads you to this conclusion that this points to possible collusion and deliberate malfeasance?
Morning, morning, Faith. Well, know that the position such as these of awarding tenders do not happen automatically. It's always decisions made by individuals. And when you look at the time of the expenditure, which is the fourth quarter, um, it is usually what we call fixed and where officials since the year is coming to an end, let us spend as much as possible so that come end of the year we don't have money that has not been. So they don't just throw money blindly around. As you can see, out of this number of companies, you'll see that there are quite a number that have been repeatedly awarded this tender in small amount. For me, with all the years of experience in business with officials, I clearly believe this was very deliberate.
And you talk about this phenomenon of fiscal dumping, and actually it makes sense as you say it, because there was 6.3 million rand spent in April, 10.8 million rand spent in May, 9.09 million spent in June, knowing that the fiscal year for municipalities ends in June, ends and starts around June. What makes it possible for municipalities like Merafong to do that? Is it that balance, trying to strike that balance between underspending money allocated when there are actually needs on the one hand, or using that as a pretext to actually do what you were always going to do anyway, this fiscal dumping?
I think probably both, you know, limited to municipalities. Even all the question, if you look at their spending, you realize that towards the last quarter of the year, the heightened activities, even though National Treasury requires that they must submit their spending, means you must have planned that this is what we're going to do and these are the budget. But it usually happens that way. Officials do not want to be seen to have understand because it has implications in terms of how they budget going forward. Because if you can't spend, the treasury officials say, well, since you have no need, and yet there are real needs on the ground, but the spending priorities and also the capacity to spend always remains problematic.
It sounds to me like the perfect storm. I don't know what you have to say about that. That uh, desire to be seen, to have spent, your budget, your allocated budget, and have no money that returns to national treasury on the one hand, but on the other hand, the weaknesses within the supply chain management systems of municipalities.
For me, the interesting thing is that Section 32 of the municipal management is once the regular expenditure is covered, the municipal manager or the accounting officer must write to the mayor, to the the MEC province as well as the AG, reporting that the regular expenditure, also identifying the persons responsible or indicating that investigation is underway. But we know that municipalities, departments, and public entities sits with huge amounts of irregular expenditure that has not been investigated, nor has it been reported as required by the law. And what happens? Nothing it becomes and remains business as usual.
Mhm.
So the weakness for me is inability to follow the law, and secondly,
Yeah.
take action when law is not followed, especially in terms of reporting the higher authority.
So in this instance, what does taking action, what should it look like? We recently saw the Auditor General finally using the enhanced powers that were bestowed on that office a couple of years ago around material irregularities in a different context. In this instance in Mirafong, what do you believe should happen?
Well, that when that law empowering the AG was passed, I was there, I voted for it. I use my opposition to say, officials do not want to take this and want to shift everything to general. Now, instead, and it will be interesting for me if you were to follow up with the municipal manager. For one, has he or she repeated this to the community? Two, if this has been reported, what is the status and what has the community done or is doing to follow up or to keep an eye on this to ensure that it does not just become one of those reported issues and it just, vanishes into thin air.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time. Temba Koti, former chairperson of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, speaking with that authority of that experience as well, lived experience of having dealt with these issues over many, many years. Let's go to Ann Musa. She's on standby with your latest news.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, suspected human trafficking bust at OR Tambo Airport and SACP reacts to the ANC NGC's decision. Good morning. The Border Management Authority BMA has disrupted a human trafficking operation at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Acting BMA Commissioner Jane Tupana has confirmed that 14 Ethiopians and 16 Bangladeshis have been intercepted by BMA Immigration and Border Law Enforcement teams. The interventions form part of the authority's intensified efforts to combat human trafficking, irregular migration, and transnational organized crime, particularly during the festive season peak. BMA spokesperson Meme Mukhotsi.
In the first incident, 14 Ethiopian nationals, comprising of 5 males and 9 females, were intercepted upon arrival traveling on an Ethiopian Airlines flight. And then in a separate incident, 16 Bangladeshis, which were males, were intercepted after BMA officials discovered that they were in possession of fraudulent visas.
The SACP has noted the decision to exclude it from the ANC's strategic election meetings. It has, however, said that the parties need to iron out modalities of the ANC's National General Council decision. The NGC resolved SACP members must recuse themselves from the ANC's discussions of strategy and tactics of the 2026 local elections. This follows the SACP's conference resolution to contest the elections independently. SACP First Deputy Secretary General Madala Masuku.
Just noted that there was a difference between what the NGC decided and what the president was saying. Because the president, we hope it's a mistake. The president was saying members of the SACP must sit in their strategic decision structures and also in the election. We don't know how that is going to work. We'll reflect on that as the leadership of the party and we'll also consult with them what do they mean.
The George municipality in the Western Cape has reassured residents that several measures are in place to safeguard the town's water supply. George, along with several other garden route towns, are now water-stressed areas due to low rainfall. Many municipalities have upgraded their water restrictions. Municipality spokesperson Ntobeko Mangwengwe says they are busy strengthening their long-term water supply.
As part of our bulk water resource study, a professional groundwater geohydrologist has been appointed to guide groundwater development. 3 existing boreholes from the 2009-2010 drought period will be recommissioned before the end of December, and their yield will be tested as the project progresses.
The South African Police Service says it's working with all stakeholders to help curb the deadly surge in illegal mining in Bapong in the northwest. The illegal activities have caused a dangerous situation where holes around homes in the community are flooded as a result of the digging. Community members say they are living in fear following the unauthorized illegal mining operations in the area. Meanwhile, the police's Deputy National Commissioner, Tibelo Musikedi, revealed that deployed security personnel in the area, whose pictures are circulating on social media, are legitimate.
We remain committed to addressing all acts of criminality associated with illegal mining and ensuring that government and all affected communities work together.
Community members say the situation has become life-threatening, with some reporting tragic incidents. A resident who asked to remain anonymous describes the fear gripping the community.
The incident that happened here in the past weeks was terrifying. Some people collapsed into the ground where the illegal miners had been digging, but we still don't know exactly how it happened. We just heard people screaming. These miners dig inside other people's yards. When the incident happened, we were inside the house and only realized something was wrong when we heard the screams. We now live in constant fear as community members managed to rescue 4 survivors, but sadly, one person died after being trapped under the soil.
Recapping the top story, the Border Management Authority has disrupted a human trafficking operation at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Acting BMA Commissioner Jane Tupana has confirmed that 14 Ethiopians and 16 Bangladeshis have been intercepted by BMA Immigration and Border Law Enforcement teams. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. You could spend 10 minutes on social media or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 GWMP series, 54-year-old Amos now pays only 1,004 Rand a month. And for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser, 55-year-old Andre pays just 776 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. Cricket, Andrik Nokia making a triumphant return to the Proteas after a year on the sidelines. And the Spa Proteas, that's in netball, they stay perfect at the Africa Netball Cup, sweeping aside Botswana to continue their unbeaten run in Malawi. All the details just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very heavy through Midrand this morning. 2 separate crash scenes between New Road and Allendale, and traffic is backed across all lanes in a heavy backlog all the way to Samran. Take some alternative routes or travel later if you don't need to get through now. N1 North is bad from the Potch Highway all the way through Deepcliff down to Uncle Charlie's, and there's just been a crash blocking most of the lanes on the N12 eastbound between Snake Road and Pitfontein Road. If you're on your way out towards Daveyton, that's going to be a problem. Truck crash near Ochie's on the N12 coming in from Emma Flenny, causing delays. Looks like a breakdown leaving Pietermaritzburg at Market Road, coming off the bypass towards Durban. That's heavy. Southern Freeway all jammed up today from Umbilo. Big queues going into the city centre territory. And Cape Town, much lighter volumes noticeable across the city, although we saw a major snarl up yesterday all day around South Peninsula due to the weather. I guess it's school holidays and arrivals in for summer holidays as well. The main road is already under pressure from Muizenberg through St James down to Hawke's Bay. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's just gone 8 minutes after 7. Good morning and welcome to it. The second hour of the morning brief on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, but also live as always on all our digital platforms, safm.co.za, that's the website, but also at SAFM Radio on social media like Facebook and X, where we are always live as well, but also on our YouTube channel, we are SAFM Radio. Politics really dominates this hour. Politics and governance, let me put it that way. In the first half hour, in the next few minutes, we'll do almost a quick whistle-stop tour of reactions to the ANC's National General Council. So we'll quickly run through it. We'll have Mahlengi Pengu, the spokesperson of the ANC, speaking to us, then Samgele Masego, and then analysis with Nkosi Khulule Nyembezi, political analyst. All of that coming up within this half hour. And then a bit later on, we'll be in conversation with the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, as everyone is starting to plan where they're going to go over the next few weeks for some much-deserved downtime and enjoy the festive season. KZN is gearing up for that. So we'll speak to Premier Tamintuli, but also talking about a campaign around gender-based violence that they are hoping will gain traction not just for 16 days, but for 365 days. That's coming up at about 7:45. Your calls in all of these conversations and anything else that you may want to raise, the number to dial for that, 086 000 2032. Your WhatsApp voice notes, 0614 104 107. Let's get into it. The second hour of the morning brief on this Friday.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
All right, the ANC's National General Council has wrapped up in Boksburg in Gauteng with a decision that could reshape tripartite alliance politics heading into the next few years. The party, the ANC, says the South African Communist Party members who serve on dual structures, who serve on ANC structures as well, must recuse themselves from strategic processes as tensions have simmered over the last while over the communists' plan to contest elections independently for the first time. President Cyril Ramaphosa at the closing of the NGC talking about the ANC's renewal being unstoppable and saying that pretty soon the ANC itself will be unstoppable. So what does that renewal look like in the context of what is clearly now complex tripartite alliance politics? Let's speak to Mahlengi Pengu, who speaks on behalf of the ANC. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time this morning. If you were to sum up and characterize the National General Council, what for you will this NGC be remembered for?
Thank you very much, Thulasizwe. This Fifth National General Council will be remembered for a couple of things. And I think chief among them is that it really did gave a concrete signal that there is a shift, that there is a turn taking place within the African National Congress. The commitment with which all our delegates from all our provinces, with no exception, and our allies and our international friends that were participating in the General Council, the seriousness with which we tackled the vexing challenges that are facing the ANC in the first instance, and the vexing and intractable challenges that are facing our country and our nation were given serious consideration. If you look at the quality of discussions that took place, if you look at the types of decisions that were arrived at, if you look at our declaration, 7-page declaration that is very unambiguous in what ought to be done to move the renewal of the ANC and the renewal of society is concerned. And so we are absolutely feeling motivated, energized, and I think that's the description that most delegates gave to that NGC, characterized by a sense of unity, characterized a sense of discipline, characterized by oneness in thinking and confronting the challenges we face head on and not papering over the cracks.
Renew or perish. That's easier said than done. And it's not the first time you, as the ANC, have been talking about organizational renewal. It starts, from my research, it starts gaining traction in NGCs at least. It starts at the 2010 NGC. What will be different this time? What does renew or perish look like in practice starting from today?
Well, I believe that if you went through all of the reports that were presented, you certainly can see that the 2025 Fifth National General Council, the ANC, was a turning point by any account. We presented to members of the media and to our people in South Africa evidence of what this renewal is shaping up to become. We spoke about, the president spoke about the fact that 125,000 members of the ANC have been trained, others as trainers, to take forward um, more education about what the ANC principles are, what our aims and objects, what are the values, the historical values that we ought to return to. That is just but one of the many things that have happened. But I also would just go on to say that the fact that the National Executive Committee commits to ensuring that their lifestyle audits, this is just among other things, part of pursuing ethical and ethics and integrity management throughout the organization that will undertake lifestyle audits, including the National Executive Committee itself and any of our candidates that are going to be representing us as mayors going forward into the next local government elections. I could continue on
Yeah,
and give you a sense
sure.
of the concrete things that have been done during these 2.5 years,
Yeah.
taking us into 2027.
So, because of time, let me ask you about the believability difficulty that I suggest you will face. I sit in this chair on a daily basis and I hear this almost a flurry of criticism, and I'm sure you will have heard it yourself over the
Yes.
last few months. There's almost a sense, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not disputing that there are people who still believe in the ANC. No, clearly that's not what I'm doing. But there's a sense I'm getting that there are people for whom you as a party are beyond repair. That whatever it is you are doing now lacks believability, and you're just going to have an uphill battle to even when you are doing all of those programs around integrity and the step aside policy, the basic education of every member in ANC values and policies and how to conduct themselves, rootedness in communities. There are those people who've completely written you off.
Now that is true, Thulasizwe, and we do acknowledge that. We do believe that it is in the doing that those of our people, those South Africans who feel that way, will have to see the consistency of our actions. We'll have to see the way we do this work, and we need to be as visible and transparent as we can be. The fact that we presented our own internal report, the midterm report, in full glare of the public as an open session, which is something that is quite unique to this National General Council, is precisely because we felt that there is nothing to hide. We need to be talking about how we've acknowledged our challenges, but we also need to equally talk about those things that we are doing to fix the image of the African National Congress. So I do believe that it is incumbent on the ANC to demonstrate through consistent action that indeed this renewal is not just talk, it's something
Right.
that is happening. Yes.
All right, Mahlengi Pengu, ANC spokesperson. Thank you for that. That's Mahlengi Pengu there, who speaks on behalf of the ANC. Listening to that, SABC News senior politics reporter Samgele Masego on standby. Good morning to you, Samgele. What stood out for you? What were the main highlights for you of this moment that was the fifth ANC National General Council?
A very good morning to you, to listen to the listeners. One of the most things that stood out for me within this National General Council was the discipline of the delegates to this fifth National General Council of the ANC. Unlike many successive ANC events where you see delegates loitering around, drinking alcohol, commissions very empty, would see that the level of debate and intellectual and ideological clarity within the ANC is really diminishing as those who are delegates of branches would be languishing in class materialism as opposed to the battle of ideas. But this time around, delegates were very focused. They were there in plenary halls. It was full, as the president of the ANC said. I saw pictures of the delegates and commissions very intent on what they had been sent to do by their branches. And you could just get a sense that these are people whom are recognizing that their movement is at a crossroads. And if they don't change tack, they don't change their ways, they will ultimately perish. So those were one of the key highlights. But also, the National General Council tended to focus more on policy, more than the organization in itself. Only the first day was dedicated to the organization, the NPR, and the balance of forces, which each internal ANC. Then the rest of the 3 other days were dedicated to the commission. And that just tells you that this was more an NGC focused on economic policy and the stability of the country, particularly after the resolutions of the G20 on leveraging on African minerals.
All right. So highlight then those policy discussions, anything and everything, ranging from the skills review of the CETAs, but also this whole commitment to triple BE and transformation in the country, as well as economic growth and industrial policy.
Indeed, Tulas, particularly if you look at the CETAs have come fully under fire in recent times with the appointment of boards, but also the CETAs were not playing that critical role when it comes to the building of skills, the skills revolution within the country, whether it's those who are semi-skilled, unskilled, or those who are skilled. So the president in his opening address of the African performance in the political overview called for an overhaul of the CETA sector within the country to respond to the economic needs of the economy and what the economy and which skills the economy needs. When you go to board things like economic empowerment, the NTC has clearly resolved that they will stop any political party within the GNU that is anti-transformation, and that bolsters the work of the president, but also bolsters the issues of transformative policies such as board-based like economic empowerment. But they do admit that it has not been aggressive enough to touch the nerve of the economy when it comes to the managerial of the economy, the ownership of the economy of the country.
But let's go back now, Samgele, to the subtle politics of succession. Did that materialize in any way? I know you talk about the discipline of delegates, in that we didn't see chanting of politically charged slogans that are starting to signal which direction things are going to go. There was none of that. But there's a reading that says there was a conversation that was bubbling beneath what appeared to be a very tightly controlled and a tight ship as far as the NGC running is concerned.
In true classic Figile Vutambalula style, he did in fact run a very tight ship in this National General Council. One can say that he played tactics of dictatorship of a special type when it comes to the control of the delegates of the African National Congress. Not to call him a dictator, but it was very disciplined and not chaotic, as where the ANC used to come from. But where those political machinations taking place? For instance, look at how the name of Pogot is as a Speaker of the National Assembly, NEC member, and NWC member is now coming up with the Women's League clearly here that they want a female president to head. Oscar Mabuya is saying that a woman president is inevitable. A woman president is inevitable. And knowing the relationship of Oscar Mabuya and Kwede Mantashe and Enoch Kotongwane supposedly whom are alleged to be at the forefront of the Togo to visa campaign, but Dr. Hossein Soramokupi seen as the blind spot as well. Then you've got Paul Mashatile Shipokosa, the deputy president, seen as the front runner at this point in time. Then you've got Sidile Mbalula, whom was told by the Secretary General, who was told by his predecessor, I won't say which the name, but the predecessor basically said to him that delegates have given you a clear indication after you delivered the midterm report when they were saying it's no Palano content. Take another term. Take a second term as Secretary General, leave the other two positions. Then the man of the hour, the breadwinner of South Africa, Dr. Patrice Motsepe entered the room on the last day yesterday. There was just a frenzy around him. And that just tells you that he himself, if he were to have an appetite to bite at the cherry, he may ultimately get it very sweet.
All right, thank you for that, Samgele Masego. Using creative language, really to express what was happening around, subtly happening, the observations, because there wasn't a pronounced out and out, let's have it out, succession push, but there were those nuances that if you were paying attention, you could have, and Samgele was paying attention to those dynamics. Listening to all of that, Nkosi Khulule Nyembezi, political analyst, now joins me. Good morning. And with you, Nkosi Khulule, I'd like us to start with this issue around the South African Communist Party. One of the standout moments in this NGC was that moment when Madala Masugu, the first Deputy General Secretary of the SACP, was delivering a message on day one on behalf of the SACP. And when he reached this point where he was talking about the reasons why the SACP is standing um, on its own in the elections, that's when things really went south and the delegates were having none of it. Fast forward to the last day, the president of the ANC tells us that those who serve on dual structures on both the SACP and the ANC will be asked to recuse themselves. How consequential is that decision? Kosikulule?
Yes, good morning.
Apologies for that. Yes. Please go
I'm
ahead.
here.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yes, it is very consequential because it suggests that the leadership had reached a cul-de-sac in terms of finding ways to resolve this difference of opinion as to how to approach the elections, as to how the SACP could perhaps contest elections on a standalone path. One would have expected that in terms of the organizational report, the assessment, the continued decline of the ANC, that the alliance members, ANC and the SACP, would have said, okay, it's fine for the SACP to contest the elections alone because we see that there is constituency that we cannot start instantly alone as the ANC. And then perhaps, or to put it differently, they're supposed to have some ICU room where they could say we can further negotiate and find ways to resolve this matter. Such that even if the SACP contests alone, but the outcome and the votes and seats that we got make it possible for the alliance partners to work together.
It just felt, though, the way that the ANC president delivered the message, it just felt as if it was one of those iron fist in a velvet glove situations where, we will engage urgently with the leadership of the alliance with a view to reconfiguration. But the blow was just dealt that said, but we are asking them to recuse themselves. If we were to be realistic, is this the beginning of the end or the end of the tripartite alliance as we know it?
I don't think it's a beginning of the end, but I think it relates to how former public protector Tulma Donsela had coined that report of "It's my time to eat first. It's our time to eat now." In the sense that it looks like approaching these elections is about politics. It's about whose stomach it is. Because it's not more about what is going into the manifesto, what policy differences so as to sell to the public. It's really about the individual. So I think the way they are approaching it, they are still going to pay for it on both sides or as an alliance. In the sense that the process of putting together the manifestos and selling those manifestos is going to be a real crunch in terms of what the ANC or the what is called the liberation, the mass democratic movement achieves cumulatively. You'll also understand that, there are big issues at play now in terms of the municipal demarcation board, in terms of the demarcation of the wards and the constituencies. You also understand that this issue also of the coalition government, even outside of in different municipalities that are in different provinces, has an impact in terms of how local politics. So it's still going to be a challenge, and I suspect that in the process of putting together the election manifestos, the party and the ANC, they are still going to find it just that it's not going to be 100% away, but it's going to be a portion of it. And in the same way, it's not 100% of ANC members who want to see the election system.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time. Nkosikhulule Nyembezi, political analyst, weighing in on the ANC's NGC and some aspects that came out from that.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's start with cricket action. The Proteas back in the contest after a dominant 51-run win in the second T20I against India in New Chandigarh. 11 in the series, 1-1. No good news. Fast bowler Andrik Norquist triumphant return after a year out with injury has been hailed as a major boost with his pace and experience strengthening South Africa's attack ahead of the remaining matches. Talking now, Bafana assistant coach Helman Mphalela says due to a raw involving vendor investigating the Kazi's alleged misconduct has been resolved. The matter is now closed. The Orlando Pirates sent the back payment of fire from head coach to Bruce. That was after arriving late at the High Performance Center. Mklele defended the decision to have youngsters like Mbokazi, others in the squad, especially now as they head into major competition.
What is happening in the team because this is our future. So in terms of the timing, yes, the right time and what is it like to perform the
Let's go to golf now. We head to Saudi Arabia where there's plenty of golfing action. This time it's Australia's Jack Thompson leading the Asian Tour halfway stage after back-to-back rounds, 7 under 65. Thompson started 8 birdies and a single birdie to move one shot clear at the top. Sweden's Bjorn Hellgren sits outright second, while defending champion John Haslin is tied for fifth after 3 under 69. And that's your sport. We'll have more on the morning brief. Top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Border Management Authority has disrupted a suspected human trafficking operation at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Acting BMA Commissioner Jane Tupana has confirmed 14 Ethiopians and 16 Bangladeshis have been intercepted by BMA immigration and border law enforcement teams. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says party members who are stepping aside voluntarily should be applauded. He was delivering the closing address at the party's National General Council in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, yesterday. And convicted murderer Racine Kune is expected to appear in the Mpumalanga division of the High Court sitting in Mbombela for the alleged kidnapping and killing of Hilary Gadi. Gadi, the daughter of EFF Deputy President Godrich Gadi, was murdered in 2022. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
SAFM traffic with momentum. Just as you plan your route, only 15% of households plan for retirement. Plan yours today. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor for advice that meets your context. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Julius. Thank you. Good morning, South Africa. Happy Friday. Big delays coming out of Pretoria on the way through Midrand. It's two collision scenes that have happened between New Road and Allendale have been on the go. They're taking quite a while to clear up, and that means the traffic backlog is just growing substantially. It's all the way back through to Old Joburg Road. The Old Joburg Road itself taking extra volume as motorists come off the N1 and pick up that R101. So just very heavy on the M1 South corridor today. Also from the south, a desperate morning again for those coming in from Eldos, Grasmere, Protea, Glen. N1 starting from the Potch Highway all the way through down to Uncle Charlie's. Really big traffic that side. No traffic lights, William Mandela and the N1, just incidentally. There are pointsmen there, but it's such a busy junction that you will hit some delays, particularly coming off the highway. Some queues out of Pietermaritzburg on your way to Durban, down to Market Road looking slow. And I did say earlier, today probably marks the first of the days that we'll see an increase in traffic volumes on the holiday routes, particularly coming out of Gauteng. I just had a look at the N3 route through to Hook Plaza, just south of Heidelberg. That is double, if not close to triple, the normal volumes that would be processed through to Hook at this time of morning on a Friday. So, yeah, we are on the move. Drive safely. Road safety top of mind, please. Durban, M4 into the city centre, very slow going from Umbilo. And Cape Town, a crash on the N7 south before Bosmansdam Road, just causing a backlog from the Plattekloof Road on-ramp. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Some say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, sometimes it gets the grease, sometimes it gets replaced. Generic guidance only fits a few situations. That's why Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to understand you, and only then apply their expertise. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. The business update on SAFM.
Good morning to you once again in Dowling. Let's talk quarter three and what was happening in the jobs market in this country.
Yeah. So the job a small lift that continues to show signs of underlying strain to us. That's the latest quarterly employment statistics reveal the formal sector added 29,000 jobs, a 0.3% rise between and September, driven mainly by community services, which recorded the strongest gains as government-linked institutions expanded part-time hiring. Trade and mining also inched higher, while electricity and transport were unchanged. But the improvement marks deeper weakness. Full-time employment contracted by 21,000 jobs, with business services, manufacturing, and construction all cutting through. Year-on-year, total employment was still 0.7% lower, just highlighting how the labor market remains from a sustained recovery. Economists note that the economy is increasingly reliant on part-time work, which jumped by 1,000 positions per quarter, rather than the stable time roles needed to boost household income and credit access. Earnings is up 1.1%, but analysts mean that job losses in productive sectors continue to weigh on SA's growth.
Also showing signs, nascent signs of, promising signs of
Yeah.
possible growth, manufacturing production in October.
The sector surprised to the upside to last October, posting expected 0.2% in production year on year. Economists had expected another contraction, but shows that eight of the 10 manufacturing divisions grew during the month. Food and beverages lead the gains, rising close to 2% and giving the biggest boost to overall output, while electrical machinery jumped 6.5%. But not all divisions improved, as mentioned. Wood, paper, and printing slumped close to 7%. Glass and non-metallic minerals fell 5.8%, showing that the recovery we are seeing is still uneven. Month on month, production rose 1%, following smaller gains in August and September. While we are seeing an increase, in contrast, the demand remains weak. Manufacturing sales dropped 0.8% in October, and forward-looking indicators point to pressure ahead. Recently, we got that AXA PMI print, which slipped back into contraction, suggesting factories lost momentum heading to the year.
And then lastly, Dowling, take me through the markets. What's moving the markets this morning?
Starting in Asia, markets are trading in positive territory, with the Hong Kong Hang Seng leading the gains up 1%. Our traders are reacting to signals out of China after leaders wrapped up their annual economic planning meeting, reaffirming broad support ahead measures to boost consumption and stabilize the property sector. Then over in the US, futures are mixed after a sell-off triggered by Oracle's weaker than expected numbers. Back at home, trade was good overnight, with the all trade closing 1% higher and improved global sentiment and stronger local economic data. That momentum also supported the rand, with it firmly below 16 rand to the dollar at 15.6. Then over in commodities, Brent is also joining the positive trend, up about 0.75% this morning and trading above $61 a barrel.
All right, Dowling, thank you for that. We'll talk just after 8:30, in which update Dowling will give you a sense of where we're going in the markets this morning.
Hi, my name is Kutlwana Masote, your host of Weekend Sundowner Classics every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. exclusively on SAFM. Now, this is where you get your best classical music jams on any radio platform. Join me every Saturday and Sunday afternoon between 4 and 7 p.m. Weekend Sundowner Classics.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, a lot of you wanting to reflect on the ANC, its National General Council, and the decisions it has taken around its long-standing alliance partner, the SACP. So to get to that, let me start with Dineo, because Dineo in the Northern Cape has a different issue on her mind. Good morning to you, Dineo.
Good morning, Thulasizwe.
Mhm.
I do have a question regarding the land ownership in
Yes.
the country. We all know that, okay, according to the Western ownership system, one must have a title deed to prove an ownership of that
Yes.
land. While on the other hand, according to the African ownership system, the tribe do have a communal shared ownership.
Yes.
The king being the main custodian. So my question is, why when the government is doing that it's only using the Western ownership system and overlooking the African ownership system?
I see. So when we're grappling with how much land has been transferred, we don't mention, you say, land ownership in the traditional sense of land ownership by the people, by the community, with the king or the chief being the main custodian.
No, I mean, like, okay, around the state of 20, I think 2020, 21 or 2020, where it mentioned that, okay, the white is around 70%, the black 4%. It's only for people who have a title deed.
Yes, yes.
It doesn't talk about the people in Kituna district who under the kingdom of Babedi or the Bavenda. Yeah.
So do you believe that if we factored that in more, that would change the picture of ownership much?
I do believe that it's being overlooked and it's like the land under the kings, the kingdoms, the different kingdoms. It's not existing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's
yeah.
the question.
Now, thank you for that, Dineo. I don't have the wisdom and wherewithal to give you an answer there, but I believe someone will come through and be able to talk to it. I do know that they do account for land under Ingonyama Trust ownership in the statistics, and they will give you a percentage of the land. But also, there's that element of if we're talking restitution, we're talking land rights that were lost one way or another over the period of our history, and therefore you need to be tracking how are we tracking in terms of fixing that and addressing that long-standing question of restitution, but also productive land, which is commercial farms, as opposed to small holdings and perhaps pieces of land that may not necessarily be productive on a scale that would produce successful newly installed landowners. So that's just my broad overall thinking. But someone else, I'm hoping within our community, will come through with further details and just add color to what I just said. Hannes in Cape Town, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jonas. I ask what is wrong. Then like, for me, the last couple of days, I come to the conclusion. Here again, I say wrong.
Sure.
If I look, this FM is supposed to be heard over the years, independent, impartial. But if I look at the other day, I look at this point as another section on arm of the ANC. And the reason why I'm saying that is covered everything. Kosa had 1 hour speech, the radio, national radio, TV. No other party has got the privilege. And the other thing also, so that for me was the proper undercover election campaign. And because everybody was talking about the voting election coming up, and they we check to Mr. Wede. He said, no, 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 no. When he spoke about Mr. Zuma's era, and they were on that train in those days, and they didn't speak anything
Right.
whilst they were there.
Hannes, Hannes, let me ask you.
That is for me. I feel unfair that they were there. Now they want to put on another garment to show that they are not. It's actually therefore that we are where we are. So,
Hannes, let me ask you.
anyway,
Let me ask you very quickly. Is the
Yes.
ANC a significant political force in this country?
Yes,
It is.
yeah, definitely.
Has it been the governing party of this country for the last 30 years or so?
That's correct.
So the decisions that they make, are they consequential or inconsequential for South Africans?
No, no, okay, no. There is where I feel we should differ because they make decisions they had, they shouldn't be looked as country news. You're covering them as if it's only their news from that time. So nothing else and nobody else. This time, especially, I'm saying it looks to me like a voting election campaign.
That's fine. Let me ask you, have you not seen coverage of the EFF's celebration when they mark their birthdays or when they have their conference on SABC News? Have you not seen DA Congress? The DA Congress is coming up next year. Is it your allegation that you can back up and say when those events of political significance happen, they don't get covered? I know for a fact right now that the MK party has its celebrations on the 16th of December. I know that SABC News, as we speak, are in communication with the MK party about that. The DA Congress gets covered. The EFF's National People's Assembly get covered. So I'm not understanding.
Yeah.
If you can make the complaint that we don't cover any other, then I'll listen to you.
No, Mr. Tulad, I don't cover. My problem that I have also in a way that when that would pick these MP and high people, allow them to speak things on the radio nationally and TV. We must we should stop them and say no, but like the other night they had this where they
All right.
but now you say it was Mr. Dumas 11. We said no, wait.
Gotcha.
You said no, well, let's talk on this.
All right, Hannes. Yeah.
Speak as you want.
Okay, I've
Anyway,
got to move on,
so
Hannes.
thank you. I had my chance.
Yeah, thank you for that, Hannes, in Cape Town. Let me go to Thabo in Germiston. Good morning to you, Thabo.
Hi, good morning, Tulas. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good, man. Listen, Tulas.
Mm.
This issue of cutting or the pending cutting between the ANC and the SACP. The SACP has a mountain to climb in terms of convincing voters out there that this is not a ploy, to get disgruntled voters, back to the ANC. The reason why I'm saying this is because, politics are politics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can say, no, we are parted with the ANC, and then voters vote for them to say, no, good, because we're not happy.
Yeah.
Particularly those who are not happy with the ANC. They say, no, we are not going to vote for you, because now we are not happy with the ANC anymore. After elections, boom, they come back and say, no, we are entering into an alliance.
Yeah.
ANC, that's taking votes back to the ANC.
Yeah.
So
thinking you're voting for an alternative, meanwhile you are actually voting for the ANC.
Absolutely. So they have a mountain to climb in terms of convincing the voters.
All right. Thabo, thank you for that. Let me go to Dumi in Port Shepstone. Good morning to you, Dumi. Also on the same issue.
Let me put my radio off, Thulas.
Yes, please do, Baba. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thulas. Yes. Thulas, I want to speak about the SACP and the decision that was announced by President yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Thulas, it's time for those SACP members to choose between the bread and their SACP. Because, Thulas, everyone knows, there are ministers there who are SACP members. Only Solima Paila maybe did not get a position and then all this. But all I'm saying, good luck with the SACP. Let's see now whether they will be choosing bread over their parties, or they will be choosing their parties over the bread.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Dumi, thank you for that. Well, at least for now, the choice is not between what Dumi calls bread and their party. For now, at least, the decision is that they will recuse themselves from strategic decisions and conversations within the ANC, where they serve on both structures of the SACP and the ANC. But it does involve putting them to the pain of choosing which party am I going to serve in terms of strategic conversations like planning for elections, like manifesto discussions, and the likes. And people, I think Popira Matuba, the Premier of Limpopo, for some reason, she came to mind for many people, and she was approached, I think, for comment to say, what will you do? And I think her comment was, I'm going to think about it. I will see. But there are many, many other people who are in that position that they will now have to choose. Who do I play for in strategic conversations, especially building up to elections? Churchill and Mtata, good morning to you.
Good morning, Thulas. Thulas, I've been listening to the conversation that you had today. In my opinion, renewal in the ANC remains tight. As you rightly said to him, they have been saying this for quite some time. But unfortunately, there's a cancer that is in which is, I see it in, they're not able to deal with corruption. They've not been able to. If they talk organizational renewal, remember they have to pursue some of their members and charges. And now, such members feel that they are being treated unfairly. And this drives to the party, feeling the very ill. And one other thing, you look at the arrogance and the entitlement election. This has been going on for time. And then one other issue that I wanted to touch on, when you look at the arrangement, the quality arrangement they get into, once the arrangement is implemented, you look at the entitlement. Now, what is happening in the SNCC? They've been making a huge value that they want to contest elections, but now station they go up. It's of how the ANC behaves.
Yeah.
Look at the GNU, for instance, currently now.
Mm-hmm.
They're in an arrangement, but unfortunately, so the way they treat the others that are in that arrangement, that's the problem with the ANC.
All right.
And I don't see it being able to resolve that issue.
All right, Churchill, thank you. Let's leave it there for this morning. I was fascinated, Churchill, by the way, by how the reconfiguration that the SACP has been complaining about for many, many years actually featured in what the president of the ANC was saying while delivering that news that says we are asking you to recuse yourself, but we must meet urgently to deal with this issue of reconfiguration of the alliance, because at the heart of the SACP's discontent has been that issue of how we need to reconfigure our alliance.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Just a quick note about Malabongwe Drive-In from North Riding Kayasan. There's a big sort of resurfacing program underway, and it's run into rush hour this morning. So Malabongwe Drive through sort of Sharon Lee, if you like, through President Forshire down towards the N1 is stuck in quite an unusual and heavy queue there. The big story this morning is the run through Midrand. If you're coming out of Pretoria, don't be lulled into any false expectation of an easy Friday. It's the exact opposite. Two crash scenes. One of them a vehicle overturning on the right between New Road and Allendale. Both scenes still active, and a heavy queue all the way back to the old Johannesburg Road exit. N3 from Germiston up through to Galooly is quite busy, and the Mike 1 queuing from Parktown on your way through to Melrose up towards Corlett Drive. Slow go towards Sandton this morning. Durban, bit of traffic between Umhlanga and Kwamashu both ways. The M4 inbound Southern Freeway is starting to ease. It was heavy coming in from Umbilo, but it is just starting to ease up. Cape Town, the N2 outbound at Somerset West is quite slow. That's likely to be a busy route today as motorists begin everyone sort of travelling away to holiday destinations. We are seeing bigger volumes on those routes around the country, those holiday routes. It all starts from today. Road safety, top of mind, please. Just staying in Cape Town, a crash on the N7 South at Bosmansdam Road. So heavy backlogs coming in from Plata Cliff Road as you on-ramp onto the N7, you on-ramp into traffic. And that crash just outside Emalafeni on the N12, a big truck overturning before the Ochis exit coming through from Emalafeni, direction Joburg, quite heavy. It looks like you'd be on the verge on the right to get past that. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
All right, let's go to KwaZulu-Natal, where that province is gearing up for what may be one of its busiest festive seasons in years, with beaches, highways, and the entertainment hubs preparing for a surge of visitors. The province says it's deploying law enforcement officers, lifeguards, disaster teams, and medical support to keep residents and tourists safe. At the same time, Premier Tamintuli is also turning the spotlight onto another crisis, gender-based violence. He will be launching what he calls a year-long 365 days GBVF campaign. He joins us on the line to talk on those two issues, but of course I will tease him out a bit about the whole conversation around the security of tenure, around his the motion of no confidence that is being moved in the province. But let's start. First things first. Good morning to you, Premier. Let's start with the preparations for the festive season. When you say that you are deploying all of these officers and lifeguards and the likes, just tell me about what the scale of the preparation is, and how this festive season may play out compared to the past few years in terms of the numbers.
Well, good morning, Makotra, to yourself and to your home. Well, at the close of KwaZulu-Natal, our approach is collaborate in we are saying as all work to ensure plan, which is to welcome the from outside of KwaZulu-Natal, outside of country, from those who are moving from one place to the other province. We have in place now more than or rather thousands of officials who will be working together from health, from all other relevant institutions, even the community structures also working in the center of our plan first to ensure people are safe in malls, on hotels, are ready welcoming visitors. In our beaches, you know that let's say when recent reporters proved that all the toilets are ready, the swimming pools are also ready for entertaining the visitors.
Yeah. A key concern, Premier, for the province of KwaZulu-Natal is the issue of road crashes, particularly the large volume vehicles where those are involved, as well as natural incidents and disasters. How exactly are you planning around those two themes?
Well, there will be a visibility of the police. In fact, already now, when you travel in KwaZulu-Natal, you will come across these roadblocks. They will be more intensified as period comes realism. Hopeful that will also help us to try and with those who are violating the rules, that there will be no really and even our message was put across to those who are using the road, those who are walking, those who are traveling by cars, that need to take care of themselves and ensure that by with the laws.
Because of time, Premier, let me push you to the next theme that we wanted to discuss. 365 days GBVF campaign. What are you doing differently from what has been talked about? It's easier said than done to sustain it beyond the 16 days of activism. How exactly are you planning to do it?
Well, we have realized the challenges that are causing problems with the issue of youth, and we're zooming in those challenges, but at the same time collaborating with the stakeholders like the different leaders, and all leaders of our society, including business, so that we all work together to ensure that we send a message of awareness to our communities about this aspect, and to encourage through Isla Samatot the main safe manner acceptable, while discouraging those who are putting faces and with all the faces, exchange of man or parents rather, who will in fact intervene when there is TV in a manner. Will say those who are in a marriage, then even if there is GPV, are trying to communicate a strong message, trying to involve the entire society in the fight against GPV.
Yeah. Lastly, Premier, let me ask you, you do face a looming motion of no confidence, and the dynamics have changed somewhat, with the EFF indicating that it is instructing its leadership team to actually actively support that motion of no confidence around you. What does that do in a context where, in recent months, even the relationship with the ANC around certain municipalities, Mkhanyakude being an example, have led to questions about how solid your security of tenure is? How confident are you that you'll be in office to oversee all of these programs that you and I have been talking about?
I think I must say, Mapotwa, the MK never supported GPU, including the EFF. When this government is established, they voted together against the movement of the GPU. So they are not new voices, in fact, in terms of saying they do not support, rather you or other things. So we see nothing which is actually new from what they are actually saying. What is important, we're not worried about the issue of motion of no confidence, because never confidence. So it's not a new one.
Right. Premier, I've got to leave it there. Completely out of time. That's Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Tammy Nduli. Let's go to N Musa. N, I'm sorry, I'm a bit late.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
Thanks to us. In our top stories, suspected human trafficking bust at OR Tambo Airport, and Butoi to face cross-examination at the Nkabinde inquiry. Good morning. The Border Management Authority has disrupted a suspected human trafficking operation at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Acting BMA Commissioner Jane Tupana has confirmed 14 Ethiopians and 16 Bangladeshis have been intercepted by BMA immigration and border law enforcement teams. The interventions form part of the authority's intensified efforts to combat human trafficking, irregular migration, and transnational organized crime, particularly during the festive season peak. BMA spokesperson Meme Muhotsi.
In the first incident, 14 Ethiopian nationals, comprising of 5 males and 9 females, were intercepted upon arrival traveling on an Ethiopian Airlines flight. And then in a separate incident, 16 Bangladeshis, which were males, were intercepted after BMA officials discovered that they were in possession of fraudulent visas.
Outgoing National Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Shamila Butoi, will return to the witness stand for cross-examination at the Nkabinde inquiry in Pretoria. Betway is being questioned over her decision to approach President Cyril Ramaphosa about the conduct of suspended South Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Andrew Chauke. The inquiry is probing Chauke's fitness to hold office after Betway accused him of questionable decisions in high-profile cases. Yesterday, Chauke's legal counsel, Advocate Tembeka Ncukaitobi, accused Betway of withholding expert advice and misleading the inquiry. Betway strongly denied those claims.
Can I ask you then, finally, on this topic, explain why you withheld all of this information from this panel?
I did not withhold anything from this panel. When you asked me about it, counsel, I said you are welcome to speak to Mr. Epstein and he can give you whatever he wants. Because I'm not going to raise privilege or anything like that, because this is an inquiry and I want to be as transparent as possible. So to answer your question, I did not withhold anything.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says party members who are stepping aside voluntarily should be applauded. He was delivering the closing address at the party's National General Council in Boksburg, east of Johannesburg, yesterday.
Those members who are stepping aside voluntarily while the matters that could bring the ANC into disrepute are being processed are to be applauded because a number of them have come forward. And in honoring the integrity of the ANC, they are the ones who themselves say, I would like to step aside. The issues that impact on the integrity of the ANC are being taken to heart by the membership. And this is to be welcomed because this is an area where we are seeing progress on a progressive basis.
Convicted murderer Racing Kune is expected to appear in the Mpumalanga division of the High Court sitting in Mbombela for the alleged kidnapping and killing of Hilary Gadi. Gadi, the daughter of EFF Deputy President Godric Gadi, was murdered in 2022. Her body was found in a plantation just outside Mbombela a few days after being reported missing. Nkune will be in court for a pre-trial hearing and plea. His trial was previously postponed numerous times after he fired his legal representatives. Advocate Musa Mavasa has since been confirmed as his new legal representative. And finally, the U.S. has announced new sanctions on figures close to Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. The U.S. Treasury has imposed measures against 3 of his wife's nephews, a businessman associated with the president, and 6 ships said to be moving Venezuelan oil. The BBC's Sarah Smith reports.
The Trump administration is continuing to ramp up the pressure on the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro by announcing sanctions on some of his relatives and businesses associated with what the US calls his illegitimate regime in Venezuela. The US is also preparing to intercept more ships after the seizure of an oil tanker earlier this week. There have now been more than 20 American military strikes against Venezuelan boats believed to be smuggling drugs, and there has been a large build-up of US forces in the region. Donald Trump has made no secret of his desire to see Nicolas Maduro removed from office. It remains to be seen how far he is prepared to go to try to make that happen.
Recapping the top story, the Border Management Authority has disrupted a suspected human trafficking operation at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Acting BMA Commissioner Jane Tupana has confirmed 14 Ethiopians and 16 Bangladeshis have been intercepted by BMA immigration and border law enforcement teams. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that file to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Ford Ranger, 57-year-old Andy now pays only 1,083 Rand a month. And for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson, 48-year-old Felicity pays just 836 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, it's rugby. Rassie Erasmus set to become the longest-serving Springbok coach as SA Rugby extends his contract all the way through to 2031. And then cricket, the Proteas leveled the T20 series against India as Henrik Nokia returns with fire. We'll have details just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still very heavy coming through Midrand out of Pretoria this morning on your way to Joburg, surprising a lot of people by just how heavy, how thick the traffic is. Two crash scenes between New Road and Allendale, and the resultant queue all the way back through to the old Joburg Road exit. It is thick across all lanes. A lot of pressure getting onto the highway from Samrand, a lot of pressure on the local alternatives, as you can imagine, particularly the old Joburg Road coming off at Centurion, jamming all the way with that extra volume into Midrand. The N1 from the Potch Highway up through Diepkloof remains a heavy queue this morning. That's a really big problem. If you're in from Protea, Glen or Ladesia, you might want to take some alternative route action to avoid that. There's a crime scene, southern parts of KZN. This is on the Port Shepstone Harding Road. It is just west of Isongolweni. There's some very heavy standstill traffic both ways. If you need to go Port Shepstone Harding west of Isongolweni, it might be a good idea to travel a little bit later. It'll probably take them some time to process that scene and get the traffic moving. Cape Town, the main road, likely to be a busy one today, hot on the heels of yesterday's gridlocking on that South Peninsula. It is already standing along the main road from Muizenberg, heading all the way down through to the Cork Bay area. And the N7 South has a crash at Bosmansdam. That's still heavy coming in from Plattercliff roadside. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
10 minutes after 8. Welcome to the third hour of the morning brief on this Friday. It is absolutely fantastic to be in your company this morning. Really enjoying our conversations as we always do, how we start the day each and every weekday. So as I always do around this time, let me read through some of your messages that have been coming through on WhatsApp. I've got to apologize for the WhatsApp voice notes. Our system seems to have a bit of a challenge this morning. So while you are sending your WhatsApp voice notes, and I really appreciate that. We are not able to play them out for some reason or another. It's tech related, and we are trying to attend to it as soon as possible. Zelma, I'm not saying it's you. You are not tech. Tech is the machines. I'm not blaming you. Hey, Lomuntu. Anyway, let me read your messages. TG here. TG says, and TG, I only read your message because, I don't like name calling and the likes, but I will read it out as it is because I think I hold a different perspective from yours, and hopefully you and I can convince each other. TG says, tell me, do you, the SABC, pay for interviews with clowns like Godi, as this was Scopa chairperson because the ANC wanted someone who is not its member, but he has no capacity to talk about whatever, and at least a credible political analyst can do a better job than this. I don't normally read these messages that are unkind to people that we bring onto the show, who are extending a courtesy to us. I will welcome you disagreeing with them, but I don't welcome name calling and just broad brush stroke rubbishing of everything that a person says. But I only read this out to make exactly that point. I disagree with you completely, TG. I personally found a lot of value in what Themba Godi said, and in fact, I'm of the view that we should speak to him more from an analytical perspective. He has walked the talk. He has been, as you say, Scopa chairperson. When you sit in that chair, all of these reports that you and I talk about go through you. You do oversight. You go to sites, you go to municipalities, you learn to grapple with municipal finance, provincial finance, government department finance, SOE finances. So there was a great deal of value. You want me to give you an example? He talked about fiscal dumping, that in the last 3 months of a financial year, you tend to see officials not wanting to be seen to not have spent their allocated budgets, and therefore they just look for anything to spend on. And he was saying this was a factor, in his view, in the situation in Mirafong. Address that issue, disagree with him on that, and say, no, that's not what was going on. And grapple with the realities of how quickly that spending that we were talking about happened within a period of 3 months, which just so happened to be the last 3 months. Is that not value? Is that not challenging you to say, think about it, fiscal dumping, consequence management for that fiscal dumping? So I completely disagree with you on that particular point. And then let me read a message about the SACP. Someone says, Sipo says, Tulas, what is wrong with the SACP of Soli being Soli Mapaila, the General Secretary? Sipo going on to say they want the ANC to accept their decision to contest elections while still sitting within ANC structures. They are like Trump, who doesn't want to answer, says Sipo there. Yeah, comparing the SACP to Donald Trump not wanting to answer questions. Yeah, okay. That's an interesting comparison. Anonymous says, Suga, ANC will never change. We have for a long time thrown ourselves to the ANC in vain. No one in the ANC is worth our trust. And that's that sentiment that I was putting to Mahlengi Pengu earlier on about believability in a certain sense of people who say they've written the ANC off. And along the same vein, someone else says the ANC will always be big on talk, no action. A big talk, no action party. So long as they have a president who literally keeps millions under his sofa, I can't take them serious, says that person there. All right, so that's how it's looking on the WhatsApp line. And as I said, we will try and get to the bottom of this issue around your voice notes. But for now, we will engage you on the number 086 000 2032. WhatsApp voice note a bit later on when we can, when we've sorted it all out, 0614 104 107. Let's get into it. The third hour of the morning brief on this Friday.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations, and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Extra your summer with free gifts from Vodacom, like the Honor 400 Lite 5G for just $349 per month over 36 months on a 1 gig record plan. Comes with the free Honor Watch 2i worth $999. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data for 3 months and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
With increased holiday traffic across South Africa and through our regional borders, road safety is more important than ever. Let us all be custodians of safe road behavior. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and jaywalk. Don't drink and text. Every time you look at your phone while driving, you lose about 5 seconds of concentration, enough to cause a crash with devastating consequences. Stay alert. Stay responsible. Brought to you by the Department of Transport, moving South Africa forward.
If getting help from your bank means pressing 1, then 4, then 7, then 3, then 9 to hear the options again, perhaps the key to press is the red one. Then join Discovery Bank, where a single tap in the app intelligently connects you to the right banker for service like no other bank. Discovery Bank is a licensed FSP and Ask Africa's Best Banking Service winner.
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
Yeah, let's get to the story. And I said earlier on, it's self-serving, okay? It came from me, from my experience with a phone. That's still a perfectly good phone that I want to keep after the contract comes to an end. And I just wanted to get to a system where I just buy airtime because I have a phone. I don't need a new phone. But 2 years after first obtaining that phone, alas, it is starting to act up quite a bit. So that's the phenomenon. If your phone or laptop seems to slow down or start falling apart just after its second or third birthday, you're not imagining it, and you are not alone. Across the world, users have long suspected manufacturers of designing products with built-in expiry dates. This morning, we unpack whether it's called planned obsolescence, whether it's a real strategy or just a convenient conspiracy theory. Let's pick up the conversation with Arthur Goldstock, who joins me now to talk a bit more. He is a tech expert and also the founder of Worldwide Works and Gadget magazine. Good morning to you, Arthur, and thank you for your time. Planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence, reality or convenient conspiracy theory?
It's a convenient excuse, right? But if you find phone, then you can fast. What you find around the year mark is that degrade chemical phone can't touch. And you find that the end with carbon that cheap. That software updates come second fast and it's a more and more demand for the content. Better, powerful, but most excuse. Yeah, new you don't need. So, but it's not that also the next also they are any country club for you. Not really yes, some things but and he must complete so good. That's why the smartphone industry realizes that they I mean and here in Dubai to Huawei targeted that realize that that phone even buy this so that can be really and not fragile device having an engineered phone that's built to last. But being for this is that integration and that one on the rate window. And it's really important you actually smartphones not the but it's good and
yeah, so
as you buy higher end phones, more premium phones, they definitely
So if I hear you correctly, Arthur, the answer is complex. It's complicated. There is some obsolescence that is worked into these gadgets, but you are arguing that it's not designed to be that way. And then at the same time, though, I have to wonder that obsolescence, is it driven by what the manufacturers would want, that after a couple of years you must get a new phone or an upgrade because we will have come up with new systems, or are they simply responding to consumer behavior that we tend to want something new every now and then?
Well, that's part of it. It's also a design trade-off. Being really durability in the price so the initial cost will be, but even then, what the late take to be, and even once it once the late function, right? But actually, the phone to find a lot of people. So you can say that the will be
And this conversation, is it necessarily limited to tech gadgets in the form of phones and um, tablets and the likes, or does it extend to other uh, you know other kinds of technology? I mean, there's this whole story of the Centennial bulb that was, has been on since what, 1901, proving that if manufacturers wanted to, they could make light bulbs that you never have to change.
You're right. My father, for example, is now 12 years old, and yes, now I put a microwave oven that and I'm not buying before. And time best one I can find. Just have to job it to get it really about 40 years. Very unusual. And TVs can last 10, but to is it is cars, for example, you can phone and put it as a hot phone. That's dark side.
So let me take you back to the question of whether or not it's planned. Jan in Cape Town, weighing in on the conversation. If your expert says planned obsolescence is not planned, then what about non-tech products where companies change materials from metals that last years to plastic they know will break in 2 years? Not planned? Please be honest. So I think the point that Jen is making, the Centennial light bulb is a typical example, because they say that the filament of that light bulb is made from carbon. But for some reason, at some point, light bulb manufacturers switched to tungsten filament, which ensures that after a couple of years. So even cars, people say they used to make these cars with strong metal. Now it's fiber, carbon fiber, and the likes.
So I can't comment for every category of technology, and I can't comment on the to myself. But which product do you think after years and years? But in most cases, I find and both is very lost.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of cheap over the years at after a few months, but that pulls up cheap and into poor. So you find trade off too much on longevity and especially the cheap devices that have the function of the both in such a way that the report if you use them like you normally use the product. But if you buy as a high quality sheet, they're going to last you.
Yeah. Arthur, I do want to take advantage of the fact that I have you to then ask, how do we maximize the lifespan of our tech, particularly the tech that falls within your domain of what you are interested in, the electronic gadgets and the likes that are so essential in our lives?
Well, one of the things with the economy especially is it's kind of looks at you always have a double the life. Let's think of this that give so the technology that's last drop in. So I mean when you charge the phone, don't charge it use it for the battery every time. But you spend your battery charging that you don't get your phone off at percent. If you start from zero, let the phone break every time, and with that as well.
All right.
So that's two basic rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Arthur, thank you for indulging me and my obsessions around these matters. Arthur Goldstuck is tech expert and founder of Worldwide Works and also Gadget Magazine.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Very good morning to you. Let's start with the gadgets that Rassi Erasmus is one device I don't think SA Rugby can replace now, becoming the longest serving Bok coach in history. SA Rugby confirming an extension that will keep Rassi in charge all the way to 2061. This 8-year deal gives the African rugby long-term stability and follows the period Erasmus delivered two Rugby World Cup titles and turned the Box into the world's most consistent test side. More rugby, and the Asian will touch on the Sharks in tomorrow's Investor Champions Cup clash against comparisons at Kings Park is gained by a powerful pass of returning Springboks Mongi Monambi, Sia Khaleesi, Rod Williams, and Ethan Hooker, while Apelele Fasi returns from injury at fullback. Interim coach P.T. Peterson has handed the Fly Hub jersey to George Whitehead, with Jordan Hendricks on a 6-2 win. Let's go to our AFCON build-up. Bafana stepped into AFCON preparations with a crucial test against Ghana before heading to Morocco for the tournament. Coach Helman Mkhalele says they're building a squad capable of going all the way, and the Ghana clash will reveal exactly where they stand.
We try to work hard to make sure that we to use the estimation of 1996. Because in 1996, we were in a group of death, but to make sure that we win our first game against Cameroon. So we'll be going into the game attitude to try and make sure that we win. Because we all know that Egypt is a tough team when you compare to the other teams, but not underestimating the other teams. But as we all know of their status, so it is important for us that we win our first game.
Well, we'll continue with our AFCON build-up. You can catch all the matches live on ABC Sport. Looking forward to some more cricket action that's underway at the moment. The likes of the Titans cruising to a 9-wicket win to the Dolphins at Sport Park. The Warriors, they thrashed the Dragons by an innings and 142 runs. And at Wanderers, the Gold Rush scoreline closed on 253 for 9 in reply to the Lions' 374. And finally, in Pietermaritzburg, Western Province edged closer to victory against tough debutant Josh Reed with 3 wickets, while Fun James and Daniel Smith scored first and 50. Tuskers ended the day on 172 for 7, still 172 runs short with 3 wickets in hand. In support, there'll be more with John Henniker around 12:30 and Mike Munn.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Vilenkusini Hlabisa says political parties in the Government of National Unity that also govern in local government have agreed to do away with cadre deployment. The Border Management Authority has disrupted a suspected human trafficking operation at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Acting BMA Commissioner Jane Tupana has confirmed 14 Ethiopians and 16 Bangladeshis have been intercepted by BMA immigration and border law enforcement teams. And the outgoing National Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Shamila Batoy, will return to the witness stand for cross-examination at the Nkabinde inquiry in Pretoria. The inquiry is probing Chauke's fitness to hold office after Batoy accused him of questionable decisions in high-profile cases. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
A top story this morning on the traffic desk has been the N1 South through Midrand with good reason. There are two separate crashes happening earlier this morning. Both are still being attended. Both are still live scenes, and the traffic has just had a chance since about 6 o'clock this morning to just pile back and back and back. So it is heavy across all lanes from Old Joburg right down to Allendale. Anything that represents an alternative route along that N1 corridor, you can expect to hit some heavy pressure as well. N1 North got a little operation inside Dibcliff Interchange, which is ongoing. So it is heavy as you come up from Eldo's and you want to get down through to Uncle Charlie's territory this morning. N14, the Krugersdorp Highway, going to be queuing on your way to Pretoria, just approaching the M1 Brakfontein interchange. A vehicle's overturned. It's said a truck and flipped over on the N3 Durban bound near Umlas Road, just south of Linfield Park. Watch if some slowing traffic arriving into that one. The N2 north and south between Kwamashu and Gateway quite slow. Big crime scene just west of Isungolweni with a massive backlog to traffic both ways on that section of the N2 into this scene. It could take a while to clear. If you need to go Port Shepstone, Harding, you're going to see some real traffic there, at least I would think this morning, maybe up until about lunchtime on that section of the N2, just on the western side, on the Harding side of Isungolweni. And Cape Town easing up quite nicely. Bit of pressure, though, on the N1 inbound as you arrive into the city centre. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Dowling, good morning to you once again. The Cape Winelands Airport construction project has been on the cards for quite some time, and the much talked about project of the moment, at least in the Western Cape. Now we know who has scored the contract to construct that.
Yes, Tula, it's a big win for the construction as the who was appointed lead contracting partner for the multi-billion rand expansion of Cape Winelands Airport. WHO, which is one of the country's largest listed construction and engineering group, project marks a major win at a time when large construction has faced rand development as one of the new infrastructure commitments in the Cape. WHO will spearhead the detailed construction planning. Companies appointed signals growing, and rather signals growing confidence in the sector, with WHO bringing experience across airports, highways, stadiums, municipal works projects. I mean, what WHO has been involved the development of the discovery of the Stanton, were also part of the development of more as well. The deal follows Growth Point Properties in as strategic development partner, internal and property components across 456 locations. The expansion in boutique terminal, extended runways, and a modernized seating expected port 5 jobs, rising to 100,000 by 20 years.
We're slowly starting to see sentiment shift here and there in the key indices that we are tracking, Dowling, whether be it those rating agencies and just the whole overall sentiment around the JSE. And now talk to me about what JP Morgan is saying about South African banks and their stocks.
So JP Morgan agreed to over the market banking stocks rather, or the market kind of these bank that while South Africa's growth remains modest, recent sovereign needs and progress on structural reform point to stronger, stable core banks next year. Let's see, JSE Bank climbed 1.2% yesterday afternoon, on track all-time high close. Index up more than year, though it's still lags more the JSE, which has valued about 63%. JP Morgan says bank valuations has fall bond yield to 2024, makes solid earnings growth of around 11% this year and 10% 20%. JP Morgan's top pick is Vista, which says well placed to benefit from rising confidence and a clearer interest rate path under the Reserve Bank's new 3%.
Right. Lastly, what are we in for at the end of the trading week?
So markets today read sentiment firm a quiet day on the local corporate front and other tech firm like technology. Over on currency front, rand power ahead trading around 16.85 to the dollar. So I don't know for travelers or anyone needing to make dollar purchases, this would be high. Hey, me. And then over oil is higher. The Fed's rate hike lift global demand expectations. Brent is holding above $61 a barrel as this hour. And turning back to equities, US are way down by Oracle's retail and in Asia, contract into the week positive.
Always right on the money, Dowling Lechala. Thank you for that. Dowling, have yourself a fantastic weekend.
The Blues believe the only way to breathe closer to the summit is to triumph and ensure there's joy at Stamford Bridge.
Clipping it. Neto! Yes. Fantastic goal. Great ball gettings. From a player in real form, left wing to right wing to back of the net.
While the Toffees refuse to underrate the power of 3 points.
Shrewsbury Hall still has it and scores a beauty. Delightful to blast Everton in front at Old Trafford.
This is the Premier League. Do not miss out on Chelsea FC versus Everton FC on Saturday, 13 December at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for the microwave to beep, or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Suzuki Jimny, 55-year-old Stefan now pays only 611 Rand a month. And for her 2024 Kia Sonet, 31-year-old Balisa pays just 926 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This season, make Christmas magic together with Spar and Super Savings. Like 450-gram Bacoma Wheat Bix for $26.99, plus 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Or 2-liter Brooks Oro Squash for $37.99, plus 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Prices valid from 8 till 28 December 2025, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Dashing through the door, to We Buy Cars we go. Gonna treat myself this year, the prices are so low. We buy cars, we buy cars, we buy all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a new car today. We buy cars, we sell all the way. Saving so much money feels like another holiday.
Ho, ho, ho. We Buy Cars, the most festive way to sell and buy your car by far.
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
So the next story is one of those that, you think you knew where it was going. And we're with Ndauling a couple of days ago saying it's signed, sealed, delivered. Netflix would acquire a portion of Warner Bros. But hang on, something changed and it went in a completely different direction. The battle to acquire Warner Bros. Discovery has possibly become Hollywood's biggest drama of the year. Netflix and Paramount Skydance are vying for control of one of the industry's most valuable content libraries, launching competing multi-billion-dollar bids that could reshape the future of film, television, and streaming. What's at stake is nothing less than who gets to shape American entertainment and how the choices consumers face could shrink or expand depending on who wins. Let's unpack it and also implications for the rest of the global market. Let's speak to Thinas Ferreira, independent TV critic, writer, and journalist, as well as a pop culture and media expert. Good morning to you, Thinas, and thank you for your time. I was saying that it took a different turn after we thought Netflix had sealed the deal on Warner Bros. Discovery. What happened? Give us the backstory, the story thus far.
So basically, no one was really interested in Warner, although they then did put themselves in sale. They had 3 bidders. It was Netflix, Paramount, and Netflix putting the highest bid for about $72 billion. Warner was very happy. Netflix was very happy. Actually, the next day, Paramount fell, which also has new ownership. And that we actually company to server, and they upgraded it to 103 billion. And Netflix, two sections, Warner, Paramount said they want 40 sections of Warner, the studios, the HBO streamer, as well as the linear TV channel. And now we have this very big fight. We'll have to see whether Netflix is now something bigger. Uh, yeah, beyond just this, politically
Yeah.
within Hollywood around the field.
In fact, say a bit more about that. It's all got to do with the shareholding of the various people bidding for Warner Bros. Discovery, including those who have a stake in Paramount's Skydance, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. So it's really like the Hollywood side that we have. We obviously the companies that want to buy small company, and it's run out on Netflix that we all know. Once the Warner, much more, we the biggest player, fine. One like Paramount realized they need to buy something like a Warner in order to remake what. Beyond this, we also have a political fight going on. Let's start more with the last day and starting more with Donald Trump. So, British Saudi Arabia was paramount in terms of their political sort of going on. There's Bollywood mega studio corporation going on. And then there's sort of creative and media on the create and producers saying these public companies really out not the form industry because choice good for the consumer.
So the company at the heart of it all, Warner Bros. Discovery, has many brands within it that are quite familiar to the South African market. So it's a fight that's playing itself out. It's intriguing in the United States, but does it have implications for us domestically?
So Warner has a TV studio called Warner Bros. Television. They make kinds of TV shows that you wouldn't even realize if you watch the show until the end and you see, oh, here's the logo. Also, of the pay TV kind of premium shows like things got streaming service having something Max, very similar to Netflix. So they were planned with Netflix as a streamer. A streamer wouldn't be in a normal American TV now. Got streams like like content supermarket really buying out the supermarket. They have channels. CNN and these kinds of things. Netflix wants to buy the TV studios, the other in the place want to buy TV channels, the stream. So very sort of complicated, very intricate and difficult deal making that will have to happen. And Americans or the regulators will have all of our on it by 2/3 of it. And then what happens with the TV channels, at the moment, help negotiating to those traditional old school TV channels like the channel and something like this. It's not a thing back at the end.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you. Fascinating to watch it all unfold. Tinas Ferreira is independent TV critic, writer, and journalist.
At Auto in General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
The Playhouse Company proudly presents a Christmas celebration. One performance only on Saturday, 20 December at 3 p.m. featuring Ayanda Ntanzi, Don Laka, Timothy Malloy, the powerful KwaZulu-Natal Philharmonic Orchestra, the Playhouse Chorale, and many more incredible artists. Tickets from just 200 Rand. Book at Web Tickets. The ultimate spectacular Christmas show. Bold, brilliant, and not to be missed. Only at the Playhouse Company.
South Africa, my name is Itukune. The wait is finally over.
My name is Tiniko Victor Shungwani, the principal.
Igama lam nguVusiwe Intokazi yakwaNgcobo. Now we've counted down long enough. AFCON 2025 is finally here. From the 21st of December to the 18th of January 2026, it's game on everywhere. And I can't wait to be part of the team that takes you through every moment. All 52 matches will be live across SABC2 on your favorite SABC radio station in your language of choice and streaming on the SABC Plus app.
Feel every goal, cheer every victory, and celebrate Bafana Bafana with the nation. Shilo sakusaseka, zonaka, nda.
SABC Sport is the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. For the love of the game.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Heavy backlogs on the run through Midrand. It's been our top story this morning, catching a lot of people out of Pretoria through to Joburg. Two earlier crash scenes, both of them occurring on the same section between New Road and Allendale. Both still active, and the traffic still heavily backed up to Old Joburg Road. Anything that operates as an alternative route through the region is heavy, with diverting pressures, particularly the Old Joburg Road and the R55 coming from Blue Hills down into Crowthorne. Lengthy queue there. N14, the Krugersdorp Highway, queuing up towards Brockfontein Interchange on your way to Pretoria. The N1 from Malabongwe to Winnie Mandela is very slow. The N1 between Devlin and Uncle Charlie's via Deep Cliff Interchange, N1 North to N12, still queuing, pressures there and heavy pressure. And Malabongwe Drive overrunning overnight roadworks this morning, just down by the N1 highway. If you're in from North Riding or arriving in from Kaya-San, it's quite a heavy backlog to work through. Durban, the N2 going north stays heavy towards Umhlanga. It looks like a breakdown before you get to the Umhlanga exit. Marin Hill Plaza on your way to Durban is quite slow. It's likely that we're looking at an all-day queuing situation there. And Cape Town, the highway is pretty easy this morning, with the exception of the elevated freeway as you come into the city centre. That's quite slow. And the N2 outbound, just expect a busy day due to holiday volumes and clog-ups on the run through Somerset West. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
Yeah, before I take the rest of your calls, I want to come back to a conversation that arose yesterday during the show. One of our callers raising concerns about the role and stance of bodies such as the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution as they sit and observe the interviews for the next National Director of Public Prosecutions. We had a bit of an engagement, and I think I may have mischaracterized how Thulasizwe Simelane actually left the NPA. It was after the Constitutional Court had made a decision that there were findings that had been made against him at the Chinwala Commission of Inquiry, rather than what I said was a board of an inquiry into his fitness to hold office or otherwise. Anyway, long story short, the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution wants to respond to that, and Lawson Naidu is the executive secretary and joins me now for that response. Good morning to you, Lawson. So I don't know how much of the call you heard. We are not able to play it back, but that in summary is the concern that you seemed to have it against Thulasizwe Simelane and his candidature. And this listener was not really satisfied about your bona fides in that.
Well, thank you, Philip, and thanks for the opportunity to respond. The panel called for public submission on a couple of and just exercise this right as many other individuals and since that panel, the 281 starting uh, the, that was the basic one. We questioned the feasibility of your namesake, Milane, be part of the candidate interview. And for very good reason, which became very apparent in the interviews yesterday, because the panel members were really concerned his safety and his fitness to hold off his and that takes the from the place. The second point is, I worked on this thing and have first-hand experience of this testimony in the honest, he felt critical information he was continuously revealing. He started over this interview, I think, further falling into integrity. So we'll leave that.
Yeah. So I've seen quite a bit of social media commentary that at least the people that I've seen commenting impressed with his credentials and his track record because he was Director General at the Department of Justice at some point before he became NDPP. But I'm just wondering, what about the difficulty of appointing him after the previous president of the republic had done it and the highest court in the land said, well, what you did was unlawful and, not constitutionally valid? Would President Ramaphosa be able to appoint him now?
Well, I think firstly, I don't think the panel is likely to recommend on the well, integrity holding again members. And the panel was not there to second guess the findings and the report of the Waller inquiry. And they're not there to second guess the Constitution Court. When he was first appointed, that direction should be removed. That in itself should have been sufficient not to qualify in consideration. He found me. He was one of the names that was by the panel consideration. The also challenges any if was the point.
But of course, the explanation from the chairperson of the panel, the Minister of Justice, Mamulu Kogupai, is that they did no shortlisting. It sounds as if this was a technical exercise that says you need to have this many years experience, legal qualification needs to be this, etc. And technically, he actually meets the criteria.
Well, again, I don't know how he could meet the criteria given what we've already. The other problem here is that the panel has not made public criteria that have an evaluating candidates. They received applications from we don't know what the criteria were, why any of those people were not being sufficiently qualified to that is that.
And then let me ask you about his grappling with what happened at the Chinwala inquiry. I caught bits and pieces of his testimony. The essence of what I heard was that he says, well, there were not findings. What it was orbiter comments in passing made in that report. And therefore, his argument is that he didn't have standing to challenge them because there were not findings against him. He was merely a witness, and somewhere in passing in the report, these comments about his honesty or otherwise were made. What do you make of that?
Well, again, I think Mr. Simelane was entirely. He was the state's primary witness in the case against the Coley. He drafted the minister. He wrote the letter that was drafted the letter for the minister in Bandla. That is Coley prosecution of it. It was clear political and executive interference. The working of the NPA and of Coley. Mr. Silane's evidence before the commission was really, covering a number of areas relating to the conduct of Mr. Coley that None of these are found to have had any substance. Mr. Simelane seems to now want to disassociate himself from this, but it was Mr. Eagle's response.
Yeah.
He was the primary architect of the whole case against him. He still refuses accountability for that.
Lawson, let me use the minute that's remaining for you to reflect on all of these interviews. There were 6 candidates. What did you make of the process?
Well, I think as we've discussed, I think the process left a little bit to be desired. The panel were clearly not well enough, didn't understand the workings of they wanted to be able to really know what they the details, you know, even they didn't know about things operate. You know, overall, the candidate interviewed, I think, the two comedians into is the head of the financial and Pania, who was interviewed yesterday as well, for the kind of skill set to the interview. And Pania is much more passionate because, well, how would you cope in an environment that is rather constrained because the still has responsibility. So they and yeah, I think make a choice.
All right. Thank you for that. Lawson Naidu, Executive Secretary of the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution, KSEC. And that's how we come to the end of today's edition of the Morning Brief. The talking point here on SAFM is up next after the news with N. Musa. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. You've been briefed.
In our top stories, parties in GNU agreed to do away with cadre deployment and Ireland set for early elections amid a political deadlock. Good morning. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says political parties in the Government of National Unity that also govern in local government have agreed to do away with cadre deployment. The ANC's policy of deploying party members to key government and state-owned enterprise positions has been strongly criticized. Some critics, including the DA, say it fosters corruption, leading to poor delivery of basic services. The DA has been pushing for the abolition of cadre deployment through court action. However, Hlabisa says in instances where cadre deployment is implemented, it must be done on merit.
Because it becomes difficult to introduce consequence management to a cadre, because a cadre will report to